Shall we go ahead with a rapid fire?
Sure, absolutely, yep.
Okay. So my first question is, what is the one critical decision you made as a product leader?
Wow, okay. So let me, probably I'll say two. One, I think every decision that make on hiring, will help me either be successful or be a failure, right? So that is, I think, essential in terms of the decisions that I make to who I hire and building the pipeline, etc. That is one thing. And the second thing, at least from a tactical standpoint, in terms of product building, observing that mock, test, and build in a very religious fashion, okay, was probably a decision that I made is a must-have for us to be able to have successfully build a minimum viable product, right? So I think I would say these are probably some critical decisions in my mind that comes to me immediately, because at rapid fire I can't think too much, but yeah, let's go with that.
Sure, thanks. The second question is, I think you kind of answered, but what are the top 3 skills you look for when you hire a new product manager for your team?
Yeah. So constantly, yeah. I think I already mentioned there's 3 skills, right? One is the communication skills. Whether it is verbal, written or presentation, all that, right? So put together that package is absolute essential. So even today, when I interview people, I look for that, and I even give them an exercise in terms of give them a problem to go research and come back with a presentation. There's no wrong or right answer, but I want to see how they think and be able to articulate their ideas, etc. That are very essential, and also problem solving, right? So give them a problem, how they go about analyzing and come back with a solution, and definitely their soft skills, right? And the way the demeanor on the thing, whether it's a cultural fit, etc. Right? So these are probably a few things that I look for, when I hire certain things like agile and doing the discovery and all that can be taught, but these are some of the basic skills that has to come in. And because for certain people, it's very hard for me to switch their language, accent, and a few things, right? So it's very, very, very hard. So that's why I think some of these skills are so essential for me to be able to, for them to be very successful based on my experience in having been managing people.
Sure. And third question is, this is on what will be the one top upskilling that you recommend to the current mid-level product manager like me and all my fellow colleagues. So what is that you would recommend for us to upskill?
Got it. So I think, again, my experience, my opinion, right now in the world, right? If you look at all the things that we are seeing, so building a story with data, right? Data to story is so essential for a product owner, right? So how can you mine the data, and then whether it's going to be some market research or data coming from market research, or you have the data within your company that you're able to mine it and come up with insights and then build a story around it, right? So this is something that every product owner, apart from knowing how to write a user story, how to write, build a product, how to deliver the product, etc. This upskilling that everyone should do, and this is going to be the make or break for many of the product managers going forward, right? So data to story is going to be very essential. How do you present your ideas? Some of the articulation of your vision can be easily built using data and graphs and so on, right? So that is so essential skill that everybody has to pick up if they don't have it already.
Sure, Saty. I think we should definitely work on that, and thanks for sharing that. The fourth question I have is, what is your favorite book on product management?
So I would say, the one that I've read a couple of times maybe is Inspired by Marty Kagan. That is one book I think every practicing product owner should read, or even aspiring product owner, right? Somebody who wants to, all the questions that you're asking, a lot of the answers are there, and that in a more, elaborate fashion with a lot of examples, etc. So any aspiring product owner or practicing product should read it once, in my opinion. So Inspired by Marty Kagan.
Sure. And to all the participants today, if you think if there are any interesting product books that you have read and you would like to share it, please do share it so we can club it and put it together at the end of the session. So that would be like a learning for all of us too. And moving on to the next question, I think Ankita has also added one more lens to this. So Ankita, I will kind of add one more addition to this. So the question I had for this is, tell me about a mistake you made and how you handled it.
Okay. So the very first product. So I moved from a semiconductor industry, to a software product management, like about like 13 years ago. I was working in a semiconductor firm in the Bay Area, and then I switched basically to a software product management when I came to PayPal. So the way I explained the semiconductor product, right? So it's like long life cycle. Even you have to
Yeah, you
predict the
mentioned
market.
18 months.
Yeah, so like 18 months, etc. Right? But software products life cycle is much faster, much quicker. For me to be able to transform from that thinking to be able to deliver product in a more agile fashion really quick was a big change. So the very first product that I built that didn't work out well in PayPal, right? So that was a big learning experience for me. To that mistake that I made, and what is the thing, and what is the problem? So what are the so I used my luckily I didn't get kicked out at that time, so I'm still I've been here for 13 years, and luckily I had a very good manager who was able to figure out what the problems were and help me understand a little bit more, and that helped me quite set the foundation for how to build software products. So what are the mistakes that I made and learn from it and move from there, right? So I would say I think that was probably that still latches on to my mind because I was quite successful in semiconductor, but when I came here, the first thing in the user stories that I write were too long, too lengthy. It was not very, it was not very easy for the engineers to grasp, etc. Right? So it took a while for me to get to that to be successful in the software product management.
Good to know that leaders like you also do some mistakes and you come back on that, right? So yeah, thanks for sharing that honestly, Sarthi.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are many more. I don't want to share everything. Then you'll say, why the hell are you here?
Okay. So moving on to the next question. So which product did you use the most during this lockdown?
The one thing is the Bluetooth headset, So being on calls all the time, I think I have like 3 pairs and keep charging, each one of them, and throughout the day you are on a call, and I've been able to test them, which one is better because sometimes the power failure, you got to switch to a phone, and then easily switching to a phone, and then without switching on, and all that, right? So I think this has been a savior for me, the Bluetooth headset. And then from a software product perspective, I think one of the things that we have been using in some of the discovery aspects is Miro, the basically the whiteboard on the web, right, to collaborate, etc. So that has been quite successful. I would suggest that to startups. It's not very expensive either to be able to buy that and then use it. So that has been super successful. And the third, I would say, is my Kindle. Always my favorite product of choice, whether it be lockdown or no lockdown. Kindle has been my favorite product on it.
Great. And I incidentally heard from a millennial that House Party, a face-to-face social networking app, very similar to Miro that you mentioned, that they use the most, where they connect with people. They have a alerting mechanism where they all get into a virtual house together and they chat. So that's something that she was sharing. Yeah, let's move on to the 7th question. Mention 3 things a product does to delight the users.
Okay. Definitely a product should work as advertised, right? And then I think work consistently. It's not like one time it works and subsequently it fails. Like my Bluetooth headset, it has to switch between devices, etc. Consistently, and then have a seamless experience or an effortless experience, right? All the time. So you don't feel like the pressure of figuring out how to use it. That seamless experience should be there. I think once you have some of this, I think you would say, you'll end up saying, it is worth it. The money that I paid for it is definitely worth it, and I think that is your delight, in my opinion. Having to feel that worth of money, having money spent on that particular product is a delight.
Sure. And next question is, it's going to be a true or false. Maybe you can feel free to add more to it. Can every organization building product have a good sense on their product strategy? And can they consistently build in alignment with their strategy? Because, see, I have come from a startup in the past, and we had to pivot multiple times. And we were, I just wanted to, get your thoughts on that.
I think I would say that a company that has been quite successful, for many years, have that sense of the right product sense or right product strategy to be to build. Right. I mean, definitely, I would. I mean, the companies don't have that. That doesn't mean that they don't have a good product sense. Sometimes those product sense may not be have been executed very well for it to come out to the market, etc. Right. So, but I would say predominantly any successful company has that product sense to be able to deliver the right strategy for the product.
Sure. And the next question I have is, what tools would you recommend to the product managers working for startups, or the SMEs, like small, medium-sized enterprises, especially when they don't have access to tools like the larger organizations have? Do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, the Miro has been pretty successful, and of course there are so many video conferencing apps that I'm sure that a lot of people have tried and tested in multiple different video apps. So I would suggest Miro for sure. Please try it out. I'm not like marketing. I don't have any stake in that company or anything like that, but I found it very quite successful for anyone to be able to take up and use it.
Sure. And anything else, for the product aspirants, where you can help them say that this is a tool that they can suggest and start working on?
Yeah, so definitely, right. So some of the other tools like the Jiras of the world, and then Rally, etc., where you build the story or the narrative of your product, could be very helpful as well. And there are some open source tools to be able to help build the product in those tools. I think So I apart from I know Jira and all this pretty expensive. I can't name an equivalent open source today, but I think Jira is going to be very successful. It would be a product that is very successful for product owners if they can use it.
And my next question is going to be a little weird, Sarthi. Please excuse me for that question. So when building product using AI, artificial intelligence, who is accountable of the mistakes made by a machine? Is it the product manager or the software or the user or designers or anybody?
Definitely, the human element involved would be definitely the problem, right? I mean, the how you teach to bring out the predictive behavior. I wouldn't call it, a super, unsuccessful terms of, being saying that, who's the problem here. Sometimes you learn, right? You have AI, you have product, the machine learning has to happen. So it takes a while for it to have the right predictive behavior, right? So even my current job, we do a lot of behavior analysis, predictive behavior of customers and fraudsters, etc. Where not every time the models that you run, the algorithms are successful, right? So sometimes it has to go through like 2 or 3 tries to learn, deploy and learn. So that doesn't mean that the first time you deployed and somebody made a mistake, right? So, but you have to have the guts to try it out and then learn from it and then fine tune it. So I wouldn't call anybody whether it's the machine or the human problem, but definitely the human element is the one programming it. I start with that and then learn from it, and then subsequently evolve and learn from the mistakes, and the algorithm will also learn in the process.
Sure, thanks.